everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimalo here in Abuja. Tonight, so much to unpack for you, but I promise that if you sit tight, don't blink, don't go anywhere. We will give you all of those details as you need them. Let's begin by letting you know what happened today. In Abuja, where in the wake of the presidency hinting about an imminent cabinet reshuffle, today we saw ministers hold ministerial briefings speaking on the performance of the administration ahead of the 1st of October Independence Day celebration. Some key members of the cabinet spoke at the briefing, including the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Works, the Minister of Budget and Planning, the Minister of Education, Minister of Water Resources. But let me allow you to listen to some of what is said at the briefing. Take a listen.
When we came on board, we got out 330 roads and bridges that were in very serious danger. They say that the chain is, as strong as the weakest link. If you have a road that is so beautiful and then you have a cutoff, then the road is rendered useless. And so we had to earmark these 330 projects for a total of 300 billion under 2023 supplementary appropriation. Let me announce that over 85% of these projects are completed.
Social intervention programs were introduced. A lot of intervention programs were introduced to ensure that we compensate for those shocks, while at the same time not squandering the opportunity to put our economy on a pedestal for growth.
We do have in the petroleum refining sector the beginnings of a return to the path of industrialization. When you produce locally, that is meant to give you value added, is meant to give you jobs, and in the petroleum sector, you save on all the importation costs, freight costs, and so forth. In addition, Mr. President has implemented a major innovation in facilitating that domestic refiners can buy crude from NNPC in Naira.
All right, some of the faces you see there, they might not be, they might not make the cutting eventually, because there will be changes in the cabinet, so the presidency said. I mean, we have a list of those some of whom Nigerians say are the top performing ministers of the Tinubu cabinet. We'll be talking about them. And I have a former minister that will be discussing this with me. But of course, we'll go to Edo State and we'll be hearing from a major candidate in the Edo election. But that will be after these political roundup stories.
Candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the just concluded governorship election in Edo State, Asue Ighodalo, has described the September 21st poll as a theft of the people's mandate. Mr. Ighodalo says the election, which saw the All Progressives Congress APC candidate Monday Okpebholo declared as governor-elect of Edo State, did not reflect the true wishes of the electorate. He, however, urged his supporters to remain calm over the outcome, insisting that all is not yet lost in the bid to make Edo State great again. The House of Representatives has referred a motion to allow other petroleum marketers lead premium motor spirits directly from Dangote Refinery to a joint National Assembly ad hoc committee, raised by a motion by Honorable Oboku Ofoji, who argued that the coming on board of the Dangote Refinery points Nigeria in the direction of self-sufficiency of PMS. Similarly, the House of Representatives has passed a resolution to investigate allegations of bribery against the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission levied against state and the Nigerian Correctional Service, the NCS, by social media influencer Martin Ose, also known as Very Dark Man. Lastly, the Action People's Party has reiterated its readiness to contest all positions in the upcoming local government elections in Rivers State and says it is confident of winning them. The party says there is no antics by any politician that will stop the conduct of the poll. The party's executives, led by the national chairman, Uche Nadi, set these during a campaign rally held in Obiakpo local government area for the Rivers East Senatorial District.
let's touch on Edo matter tonight. First and foremost, some of the top stories in Edo related to the Edo governorship election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as they presented the certificate of return to the winner of the Edo governorship election, Monday Okpebolo of the APC. The ceremony took place at the INEC headquarters in Abuja earlier today, and INEC declared Okpebolo winner of a Saturday, September 21st election after polling 291,667 votes to beat his closest contender, Asue Ugodalo of the People's Democratic Party, who polled 247,274 votes. Well, after that ceremony at the INEC office, the President Bola Tinubu received the governor-elect of Senator Monday Okpebolo and his deputy Dennis Idahosa at the presidential villa. They are also accompanied by Senator Adams Oshomole, some state governors in the APC, including Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, the chair of the Nigerian Governors Forum, the chair of the APC Governors Forum, Hope Uzodinma, the governor of Kaduna State, Ubasani, and the governor of Kogi State, Usman Ododo, and that of Yobe, Mai Malabuni. President Tinubu received the governor-elect alongside other political and party APC party chieftains, including the party chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje. Well, then, it does look like Ms. Okpebolo is already speaking, and he's gotten some message, which we'll be bringing to you. But this particular election had come with a lot of twists, and a lot of people are reacting. Tonight, let's hear from the man, the major contender in the race. He believes he won the election. His party said they've gotten all of the facts together, that he won the election. In fact, there are some documents now that are surfacing from the PDP as to the effect, to the fact that that election was won by the PDP, and they said they've gathered some credible information to prove their stance. I'm being joined by Mr. Asue Ighodalo, who is the PDP governorship candidate in the Saturday governorship election. He joins us virtually live from Benin City. Thank you so much, Mr. Ighodalo, for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Shale. Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Let me begin. You hold the view that you and your political party, PDP, won that election. And as a lawyer, I know you probably will be dwelling more on the fact, not on conjectures. But tonight, how much of those facts do you have?
Thank you very much, Shil. If you look at our electoral process, the BVAS, IREV, and all the result sheets, the fundamental and most important result sheet is the form EC8A. Because we anticipated a lot of what subsequently happened, we had a plan to ensure that we got all our Form EC8As as quickly as possible after the elections. So we have all our Form EC8As, and when you total them up, you see that we won the elections very clearly.
Does this Form EC8A, I'm wondering how the departure between what you have, because the thinking is that you have your agent not only at a polling unit, you have them at the ward level, you have them at the RA level, you have them at the LG level, and you have them at the state level. So why was the departure?
You know that the Form EC8A is the base document for determining the election and the results of the election. You take the EC8A and you take it to the ward collation center, transmit into EC8Bs, and then you move on to the local government collation centers, and then you move on to the state collation center. That's how it works, okay? But the fundamental document is EC8A. That shows what happens at the polling units, and it's the result from the polling units that are transmitted upwards to the ward, and to the local government, and to the state.
So give us an understanding. What have you discovered so far? How much of a departure? What are the figures that you have come up with in your tabulation?
Okay, I'll help you a bit, but I also have to keep my gunpowder dry because there are a lot of things that will bring up at tribunal stage. Huh? But I'll give you three straight examples. There's Ipobaha Ward 10, Unit 13. We have there accreditation of voters being 156. The results that were announced by INEC suggests that 2,110 votes were scored by the APC and 57 votes by the PDP. Clear case of overvoting. The accredited voters, much lower than the votes that are declared. Esako East, Ward 4, accredited voters 213. We have votes for APC, 352, and 52 votes for the PDP. Akoko Edo, Ineme Ward 9, Unit 11, accredited voters 39. 419 votes for the APC, and 19. That guy must have a sense of humor. 419 and 19. And 19 for the PDP. And we can go on and on. We have over 160 such units where we have data and information of such overvoting. And then we have over 160 polling units that we've identified now that there was no beavers registration, especially in the 3 Esakos. Okay, so there's a lot of data and a lot of information, a lot of evidence that we have. So we're fully confident that going through the tribunal, we will win the case. We will regain our mandate, and we're clear without any doubt that we're the winners of the election last Saturday.
You're probably one of the most respected lawyers around. Although your practice may not be exactly in the area now that you have forayed into, which is election law, but then you understand the principles and the baseline of how to prove some of this fact. But you do know that this is a marathon.
Sure.
This will take nothing less than 6 months to be able to see through to the Supreme Court, because the Constitution provides that. But the question here, Mr. Ighodalo, is how did what do you understand in the manner, because your party has said this election was rigged. How did those who rigged the election, how did they come about it? Why didn't you see this coming? How come you were not present when this was rigged? At what point were these elections rigged? Did you have a party agents at the levels?
You know, this is one of the areas where you feel really disappointed. Disappointed with INEC, disappointed with the security forces, particularly the police. There was a collusion of the INEC and the police is to really subvert the will of the people of Edo State. The people of Edo State came out massively to vote for us. We won the elections clearly, but by collusion, and it's painful because you have a bunch of many young people who feel that they've been disenfranchised in the past. They feel their votes don't count. They wonder what kind of democracy we run. I've been trying to encourage them that your votes will count. We'll make sure your votes count. And then we have serious collusion by INEC and the APC, indicating, suggesting, and working towards votes not counting. But this time round, we'll go through the judicial process and the votes will count, because we're quite clear that with the evidence we have, we will show clearly that we won the election and the mandate of the people will be upheld.
Yesterday, I was speaking with your good brother, not only because you're from the same state, but also in the same profession, Olumide Akpata, on the program. And he was of the opinion that your party and the APC were involved in vote buying, and that the people were being bought over. How much of the vote buying did your party do?
No, I can state categorically. Show you around. I saw you around, and I hope you moved from polling unit to polling unit in different places. We were not involved in vote buying at all. APC agents, different agents, came with notes straight from the CBN or from the banks, mint notes, and they were offering 25,000, 30,000, 50,000 per vote. What our guys did was go to them and ask them that, harass them and tell them that you can't come here to buy votes. But we were not engaged in vote buying in any way. I'm clear about that, and I know that. You know, we didn't even need to go around buying votes. The people of Edo State were solidly with us. Solidly. It's only when you're not sure of your capability, you're not sure that you're able to perform, that's when you do underhand things. And APC, through this election, with the connivance, complicity, and support of the INEC, undermined the whole democratic process.
But that was perhaps a deviation from some of what we heard and some of what has been said now. Because there are those who say that it's in fact your party that rigged the election. And there are those who are in the EFCC and police net who they say they are agents of the PDP working with the PDP.
Elections, if we rigged elections, why weren't we announced as the winners? If we rigged the elections.
It was being said, some civil society organization said it was a case of who bought more than the other. It was a case of the highest bidder.
I don't know what civil society organizations you're listening to, but the credible ones, Jäger and others, have said very clearly and pointed fingers at where the problem areas were. INEC, APC, the police. So don't let's just mince words. Yeah, it's the credible civil society organizations have very clearly stated where the problem was. So, and I'm confident, very confident, that if we go through this judicial process effectively, we will reclaim our mandate. I'm confident. We have the evidence, we have the facts, we have the data.
But where exactly? Because usually what politicians do is that you only rig where you are popular. That's what they say. And from experience, that's only possible because resistance also comes. Now, where do you think you were rigged out?
See, Shiv, we didn't rig. And I've already started saying to you and pointing out to you the problem is area. I gave you 3 examples in Edo North and Edo South, as where we had accredited figures not matching the number of voters. Clear case. I'll give you another example. Saturday night, when APC and INEC saw that APC was losing woefully, they then subverted the electoral laws and the guidelines. Collations are done, first of all, at the polling units, and then you go to the ward collation center, and then you go to the local government collation center, and then you go to the states. There was a jump from ward straight to the state. Ipoboha, Oredo particularly, and Ego. They moved all the collation straight to the INEC office in Benin. And then they did not allow our collation agents and none of our party agents to go into the INEC office. When I heard about this, my deputy and I went straight to the INEC office, and we were not allowed in. And that again is against the guidelines and the rules. All the agents are my agents. So they're my agents. I have the greatest authority to represent myself at the collation centers. But I was not allowed in. My agents were not allowed in. So we don't know what was happening behind closed doors.
No, Mr. Godalo, you didn't quite get my question.
Yeah?
I was asking, you didn't quite get my question. My question was that you can only rig, politically speaking, is a popular saying, that you can only rig where you are popular. Now, the question I'm asking you is that where did you think you were rigged out?
Yeah. Sheil, that was my first answer to you. We didn't rig.
That's the point I'm making. I'm saying
that
if you say that the APC rigged, which areas did they rig you out? That's the question. Where are the areas did you think
that different forms of rigging? Where it's shown that there are different forms of rigging, and I tried to explain this to you. There are places where the accredited figures didn't match the voters. So there were places where we were strong. The strategy of the APC, the way I see it, was that in places where we were strong, they suppressed our votes and tried to enhance their votes. That was their strategy. That was their principal strategy. Then there were places where they were perceived to be strong, where traditionally people had said they were strong, like their circles. They then tried to return phenomenal figures that didn't match the accreditation or even number of registered voters. So those were the areas particularly where they focused on.
Let me take a break now.
Suppress us when we were strongest, and then try to enhance and inflate their own votes where they thought they were strong. But in a free and fair election, this election, they didn't even win in their circles.
Give me a moment, Mr. Aswe. I need to go on a break, but when we come back, I mean, are you going to keep quiet in all of this? Yes, as a lawyer, you're pursuing this. You have said that you believe and you trust that the president, as a Democrat, would uphold the rule of law before the election. But in all of this, are you going to approach him? What are you going to do? Those are going to be my next line of questions when we return from this break. We'll be right back, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Aswe Ighodalo, PDP governorship candidate in the Edo governorship election, has been speaking with us from Benin City. Mr. Ighodalo, before I went on break, I hinted you about my next line of question, which is, you were confident that President Tinubu, one of those who fought for democracy, you said that he's going to stand his ground and will not allow democracy to be messed up. Are you disappointed? If that is the case, are you going to speak with him? Because I understand that you are not alien to him. You're someone that you perhaps could pick your phone and talk to. What's your next line of action right now?
No. I'm looking at INEC and the police. The president acts through agents, and if he's put agents out who have now failed him, it's not directly his issue now. He'll need to interrogate his agents and see the points of failure. My concern now, and I haven't seen any connection with the president yet, but my concern now is INEC and the police. They failed the process, they failed democracy in Nigeria, and they really need to go and do a serious rethink. I'll give you another example, Sheo. It takes for 360 people to vote, it takes 10 hours. If you look at the results that have been churned out in favor of the APC, they have all these polling units where they have 1,000 votes, 900 votes, nearly 2,000 votes. That will take 2 days of voting to achieve that level of voting. So clearly there's some voodoo that's happened here that has been subscribed to and allowed by INEC, permitted by the police forces. And so we have the problem that we have today, a stolen mandate. But we're quite clear that when we take all this through the judiciary, we'll reclaim our mandate.
All right, let me quickly ask you.
To stay calm and stay confident and just stay calm and know that by God's grace, at the end of the process, we'll have our mandate back.
Let me quickly ask you, the Form EC8A that you have the copies that you have of Form EC8A, are they the signed copies that you have?
Every polling agent gets a copy of the signed EC8A. We don't manufacture Form EC8As, and we don't print them. We're not like some other folks. So we took copies, our agents took copies signed from the presiding agent at the polling units, and they handed them over through a process that we had devised. Because we knew all of this would happen anyway. We suspected it. You know what happened in Kogi? You know what happened in Imo State? You know what they tried to do in Bayelsa? And I keep wondering why INEC will not redeem itself. And INEC is going to cause a lot of problems for our democratic process if they do not redeem themselves.
Quickly, Mr. Ighodalo, if you look back, do you have any regrets? If there's one thing that you could have done, if you knew that this was coming, what could that have been?
No. Do I have any regrets? No, definitely not. I stepped out and chested out to work for my people, and I'm still going to do so by the grace of God when we reclaim our mandate. So I have no regrets whatsoever. And I'm confident in the people of Edo State. They came out and voted for us massively. So I have their confidence, they have my confidence, and no regrets whatsoever. What we could have done differently, well, honestly, maybe we could have made a lot more noise about it before, but we weren't making noise about it, and people weren't listening. We didn't sign the peace accord because we said the playing field was not level. It was really upside down. It wasn't even level at all. We spoke with the British and the Americans, but when they came to see us, but, you know, they now have come out after the elections to start mouth platitudes that it was a peaceful process. What does that mean? You know, you would expect that those who are the proponents of democracy would pay true attention to processes that are flawed and say the truth as the truth is. So, but again, you know, we have to shoulder our own cross in Nigeria, in Edo State, and we shall do so.
All right. My final question for you tonight, before I allow you go, but I would like you to watch the video, including all of our viewers. The APC candidate is already calling every Edo citizen to come together to work with them, but I want everyone to watch, then I'll get Mr. Ighodalo's response on this. Take a listen to Senator Monday Okpebholo, Governor-elect of Edo State.
My good people of Edo State, a while ago, I received my certificate of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, who officially declared me the winner of the September 21st, 2024 governorship election in Edo State. With a great sense of humility and gratitude to God, I accept the result of the governorship election as declared by INEC. The journey to a new Edo has started with this mandate of the good people of Edo State. I want to especially thank our supporters and party faithful who work day and night to take our message far and wide. I want to particularly thank our leader, our president, our father, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for his unwavering support for true democracy. I hereby extend the hand of fellowship to you so we can all build a new Edo of our dream. With my partner and Deputy Governor-elect, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, we are committed to addressing the yearning for a new Edo State, full of equal opportunities and development for all. And so we are ready to hit the ground running to fulfill all our campaign promises. Thank you all. A new Edo is rising. Long live APC, long live Edo State, long live Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Just in about 30 seconds, if you may, Mr. Ighodalo, are you receiving these hands of fellowship from Senator Monday Okpebholo? He has stretched it. He says, for the interest of the Edo people.
You know, I'd said this from the beginning, that free and fair election, level playing field, you know, I have no problem with the outcome. This is not a free and fair election. We won this election. This mandate has been stolen by INEC and the police force. And we're clear in our minds that we will regain our stolen mandate. Because the mandate is stolen, there's no way you can accept this this hands of fellowship or hands of friendship that's some kind of Pyrrhic kind of fellowship. So I will stay with the people of Edo State who gave me the mandate, fully gave me the mandate of their free will, and I will go into the courts and the tribunal to reclaim our mandates and then form the government of this state. You know, I was listening to Monday Okpebholo now, and he was talking about his promise to the people and his campaign promise. They didn't campaign. There was no promise they made to the people of Edo State. He didn't even speak. This is the first time I've ever heard him speak, and he must have gone through serious coaching. So I honestly don't understand what kind of message he's trying to send to us. we will stay on the facts, we'll stay on the evidence, we'll stay on the data, and we'll take this through the tribunal.
All right. Mr. Aswa Ighodalo, thank you so much indeed for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheila. Take care. Yeah, thank you.
Time fast spent, but I've got another very fantastic conversation for you, and it's going to be about President Bola Tinubu's cabinet. I'm being joined by a former Minister of Communication, Mr. Adebayo Shitu, is live with us here in our studio. Thanks so much indeed for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here with you.
For a moment, this is not the first time you are hearing that there will be a cabinet reshuffle. But when you are hearing it again, how does this come to you?
Well, it's a normal thing in governance. It is only Mr. President in every election that is given a term certain, 4 years for each term. But for every other, appointee, they hold office at the pleasure of the president, who alone was given a mandate.
So it's a constant, only constant.
It is only constant. Change
himself and his deputy,
and his deputy,
and the vice.
Of course.
They are the only constant.
They are the only constant.
So anybody, including the kitchen cabinet,
everybody can be changed. Changed at any time.
I mean, what prompts? Because when he set up an appraiser committee to look into the affairs of the minister, we imagine that may be made public so that Nigerians might be able to judge and look at who is working and who is not. Although there are popular opinions as to those who they see. In fact, the presidency is now telling some of the ministers that go out there and start talking to Nigerians. I wonder why you will be in public office and you will be lip-sealed and tongue-tied, and you are not able to speak to the performance that which you are being called to do. I mean, how much of a danger is it when you are in public office, especially in a Bola Tinubu cabinet, in a very difficult terrain that the government says they're trying to turn things around? How difficult is it for a minister that is keeping silent? How do you impress your principal?
Well, the truth, which may be bitter, but which must be said, is when people who have never been in public office are being appointed, a lot of it relies on guesswork. People are nominated, particularly in a political atmosphere like this. There are people who became ministers who we never heard of their names before they got appointed. So, I mean, it is a 50-50 thing. It is a hope that maybe because he has had a good education, he's been a lecturer somewhere, he's been in one civil service appointment or whatever, or he may have contributed, to the campaign process, which brought in Mr. President in.
Or you being nominated by
to be nominated or being good. So, I mean, it is neither here nor there. It's a risky thing.
And those who are Minister of State, are they somewhat unlucky because they are usually in the shadow of the substantive minister?
That is it. I mean, we must be fair to people who are, ministers of state, because no matter how active you are, you remain under the shadow of the substantive minister. And we have had situations in the past where there had been crisis of confidence between substantive ministers and their, their second in command within the ministry. Some substantive ministers may be, people who want to, dominate and overhaul everybody, And I am aware that more often than not, ministers of state are given, perhaps some departments within the substantive ministry. The substantive minister would want to be seen to be the one in charge. And it does happen.
So that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
How brutal do you think the possible or the imminent change could be?
Well, it is only Mr. President who knows what he has had.
Well, you're a member of the party.
No,
you are an insider.
We do not have...
From what you see and the President Tinubu that you know, and the messaging that we do know and hear, that there are a lot of politicking going behind the scene. As soon as the first hint about a reshuffle came, a lot of people were running around trying to save their jobs, but in the true sense of it, we've seen Bola Tinubu do this in Lagos when he was governor. It changed quite a few people. It retained quite a few people. And there are those who have worked with him from day one, are still held on to that position up until today. They're still working with him. He's appointed them in some capacity. But from the kind of person that you said, a lot of people say that he has high hopes and high expectation. If you don't perform, there are those who even say that Bola Tinubu is the kind of person that would disagree with you at a cabinet meeting. But at the end of the day, if you are able to impress and convince him, he might go with your policy direction. So with the much that you know about him, how brutal could this possible...
Well, I think the word brutal will be a misnomer in this situation. We have a president who has a mandate for 4 years to deliver on his promises. And he tries to recruit, people to work for him. He might have wrong impressions. He might have exaggerated opinion about one person or the other. And you see, when you refer to me as being a member of the party, unfortunately, in this country, there are no platforms, real platforms, for party members to aggregate views on governance. It is usually the man who has been given the mandate. He would have an idea of what type of government he wants to run. He would also try to get people he wants to recruit. More often than not, he may have wrong perceptions about them. They may come in and he may be lucky.
But
I want to give an example.
Is it not where the kitchen cabinet comes in? His advisors, those who are supposed to go to town, see for themselves, give a feedback to him to help him to guide his direction.
You cannot trust anybody, even if you are talking of kitchen cabinet.
It doesn't look like there's a collapse of support for the president, because there are critical areas that there are failings in this government, and you imagine that the president has done his job by appointing them.
Well, I have said it. The president is not in a position to, except those who had worked with him, perhaps in the past. But for, at the national level, I mean, this will be the first time he'll be recruiting people from all parts of the country, most of whom he may never have met in life, but he may just be relying on recommendations, perhaps of interested, power blocks within the party who would, give information and sell their own candidates for one good reason or the other, or let me say one reason or the other. So, and look, the Yorubas have this adage. They say, "Eni tí ò bá ní wọ́ yẹ̀wù, kò lè mọ ohun tí à ń ṣe níbẹ̀." Mr. President has, an opportunity to decide what he wants. If you are not there, or if he does not tell you exactly what he wants, it will be very difficult. But I think one failing in our system in this country is that when people are either to be appointed or have been appointed, we really don't have a kind of reorientation exercise, which will perhaps take a week or 2 weeks to perhaps school those to be given jobs.
So that they can be up to speed immediately when they
really understand what are the priorities of their employer.
So there's that gap.
So I believe there's that gap. We don't
and it might be unfair, isn't it? For some of them have not spent a year in office since their appointment.
Well, it doesn't matter. If good, I mean, let me give. I'm sorry, I have to give one very
Absolutely. Go ahead, please.
Look, Olubunmi Ojo, Minister of Internal Affairs. Ordinarily, internal affairs is not one place where anybody can shine. But within a month or two, I mean, he struck a very...
Interestingly, he made a cut, because we put together some faces of those whom some Nigerians have said they are the vibrant ones. And there might be some vibrant, quiet ones. But we do not know how anyone will be vibrant and be quiet at the same time. For about 9 or 10 of them, I've been seeing are the vibrant ministers in the Bola Tinubu cabinet. And these are some of those who Nigeria thinks might be retained in these in their positions, including Nyesom Wike, FCT, Odubunmi Tunji Ojo,
Minister of Works,
Minister of Works, Umahi, Minister of Budget, Bagudu, Minister of Finance, Wale Edo, Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pate, the AGF, Latif Fagbemi, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mama, Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo. These are about 9 people that people thought that, look, they have shine in their different offices. Yeah. They may not be the perfect example of what the job really means or is, but they've shown some quality and they've been vibrant. Yeah. And you mentioned just one of them.
Yes. Of course, I agree with all your recommendations. I agree they will certainly be more than the 9 you are mentioning. But you see, these ministers don't give a report to the public. They are supposed to be giving their report to Mr. President, who appoints them. If they had been the talking type, of course, the public will be able to, have better knowledge of what they are doing. I want to give an example. When I was in the cabinet of Buhari, there was a time we left a meeting, journalists came, they were interviewing me, and then a colleague of mine, they also went to him. If you know how he reacted violently against the journalist, he said, did I invite you? Did I ask you that? Did I say I want to talk to you? For a public officer who was so scared of talking to the press. It happened, I saw it. I mean, I won't mention the name of the minister. And interestingly, why I spent just 4 years, that minister spent 8 years in the government.
One of the cabals. I probably
well, I won't call you a cabal,
let's take a break, everyone. Because there are those who were seen as the redundant ministers in the Buhari government, and they spent as much time or even more time in office than even the president himself, because the president was out of office for some time for medical reasons. But some of them were that powerful because they were redundant, non-performing, and largely very reclusive. But then they were as powerful. Well, is it going to be in the case of Bola Tinubu? If you're not performing, why should they keep them in office? But we'll be back after this break, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Adebayo Shitu, a former Minister of Communication, has been speaking with us. So if you look at those faces, and there are those who are criticizing heavily this government and its policy directions, and perhaps justifiably, the president has a good grounds to say, I'm going to change a few people here, even though you've not spent up to a year in office, but then Nigerians are on my case to perform and to deliver to them. If you were in President Bola Tinubu's shoes, probably you would have done these changes earlier, isn't it?
Well, it is the position of a president is that of a father, it's that of a guarantor, is that of a director, somebody who directs and perhaps also nurtures. What I would advise is that any time people are to be posted to positions, if we cannot get some kind of interviews to try to look at their potential, because right now there's no means of knowing anybody's potential. People rely on, recommendations.
We thought that those are some of the highest positions. Yes. People have to be tested in their field to be able to make the cut.
No, you see, a minister could be appointed to any ministry, But while doing that, there must also be reservation or caution to ensure that what will be the point in appointing somebody to a particular ministry when he does not even understand, what he's going to do there. So I would suggest that any time ministers are to be appointed, there should be some kind of interviewing for them to know where they are likely to be able to do well.
But they are screening for them anyway.
No, as screening
security checks.
The security check does not mean competence check for the position or for the jobs that...
So you are looking at it from the point of view of a private sector kind of appointment.
Yes.
Where if you are to appoint an MD or of a bank, for example,
you must,
the person has to go to the rigor of understanding and telling you what the job is.
Apart from that, there must also be some orientation training of 1 or 2 weeks before they resume to their position. Resource persons should be brought. For instance, from my personal experience, and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm saying it in the, with the best of intention. Every minister is supposed to be the image maker for not only Mr. President, for also the government. But you find situations that people become ministers and they become unreachable. Even at my own little level as a party, a top party person, at least by my state level, if not at the national level. You phone many of our ministers, they will not pick your call.
They call it arrogance of office.
You send text to them.
It's a common disease for people. As soon as they get into office, their nature and their character change.
They will not even respond. I mean, I have a minister I wanted to give some very vital, information as to how he can best, succeed in the ministry and add greater value to Nigeria. But the man refused, even after text messages, he refused to say.
Maybe he doesn't use the number again.
He uses, you can imagine even using,
or maybe he's too busy, his hands might be.
Well, he has been busy for more than a year now. I didn't need anything personal from...
But if there is, in all of these hint of possible change, and we understand that this might happen within the next few days, what do you think will... Because it's supposed to be the interest of Nigeria.
Yes.
Anything the president is doing should be in the interest of Nigeria.
Exactly.
If some Nigerians think that the cabinet formation was underwhelming, some of the members of his kitchen cabinet too are not as impressive as a lot of people expected. Where and how do you think the president can impress Nigeria? Because is like putting the coach, the Nigerian national team coach, the football men team, has to be one that Nigerians, because an average Nigerian is a football coach and could tell you where any players could be. So when you are picking the players, the Nigerian people will pick for you.
That is
now,
football.
In the case of a minister, an average Nigerian also pride himself like a president that this person does not fit. For the president to impress Nigerians, what do you think the president should look out for? Politics or competence?
No, it's a mixture of the two. Because it is politics that brought Mr. President down.
But there are people who say the president has paid politics. He has satisfied some politicians in this last appointment.
Look, if you rely on competence, I'm not saying it should be devoid of competence, but it should be a mixture of competence and politics. Because without, you bring a lot of people in, we may rely on the supposed confidence. If there's they cannot represent their constituencies. They don't know anybody there. Nobody can talk to them. They are unreachable. So it is very important that politics should be, very, important.
The likes of Okonjo-Iweala, they were not political. They were technocrats.
They were technocrats.
If you need people to shape and fix the Nigerian
would you imagine a government made up only of people of competence without political value? The government cannot survive.
So President Tinubu should balance that.
There must be a balance.
But there are those who say that this cabinet is more political than competent.
Well, if that is it, then, the president has an opportunity to, improve upon the recruitment process for ministers. Because
or does it at the likes of KPMG of this world or these
at the end of the day,
agencies to be able to help in the assessment?
Well, it depends also, because in the Nigerian sector, we always have what is called the Nigerian factor. What is Nigerian factor? It's about corruption, it's about compromises, it's about cutting corners, and all of that. So one cannot rely solely on professional recruitment, elements, because they don't know anything about politics.
Finally, the urgency of time is also there.
Yeah.
If the president does not perform, he loses his connection with the Nigerian people. Exactly. Second time is actually out of the plate.
Yeah.
As a party person,
yes.
How urgent and how critical is this?
There's no doubt it is very, very urgent. Because Nigerians cannot wait until you satisfy, personal whimsies and personal idiosyncrasies. You are recruited for a 4-year term certain to perform. If you don't perform, what would be the report you give to the public?
Mr. Adebayo Oshitu is the former Minister of Communications. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. As I show for everyone for tonight, I appreciate you joining us. I'm sure Akim Aloye. Bye-bye.